Hi everybody, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, there's a little bit of confusion going on in Southampton today for a cruise ship that some people might make a mistake. I hope they didn't. It should be a simple thing not to make the mistake, but things happen. We also have a Norwegian Cruise Line changing a disembarkation port. It's not just a little change. Instead of us coming from one country, you're now coming from another country altogether. Disney Cruise Line has made that transit down the Ems River to make her get ready for her maiden voyage to do her sea trials. We also have Carnival Cruise Line is clearing up some things about the great missing tub caper. So first off, let's talk about what's happening right now in Southampton today. We have a cruise ship that is arriving. It is the Royal Caribbean's Anthem of the Seas, and it is docking in Southampton. But it was supposed to dock at berth, I believe, 102, and now it's docking at berth 101, two completely different cruise ports. Now, they're side by side, but they're serviced by different roads and different security buildings and different buildings for embarkation and disembarkation. So it was a last minute change, and if people don't pay attention, they may drop their luggage off at the wrong port or get off the car, get out of a taxi and sit there and go, wait a minute, that's not our ship. So hopefully that's not. Luckily, the other ships that are in port look nothing like a giant Royal Caribbean ship. So they're much smaller ships. So hopefully, I think one's a Spirit. It should not be that big a confusion. You should be able to recognize immediately when you get there. But some people just assume they're at the right place when they say, hey, bring me to the cruise terminal, and they don't really check which ship they're getting on. Now, they'll find out when they try and board, but it might be too late if they just dropped off their luggage and then took off. Their luggage might be heading onto the ship. So be careful if you're leaving from Southampton today that you're on the right ship. And speaking of changing ports, the NCL Spirit is on a cruise from Japan and was supposed to end up in the Philippines in November. Well, due to some operational things that are going on in the cruise port that day in the Philippines, they say that they are going to have trouble getting passengers on and off the ship for embarkation and disembarkation, so they won't be going there. Instead, they'll be going to Hong Kong, China. So that's a big change. You're not getting off in a whole different country, which means if you book flights through Norwegian, they'll be changing your flights for you. But if you didn't, you're on your own to rebook flights. Now, NCL is offering $150 for any airline changes, etc. like that in credits on board for the changes. Of course, that is non-refundable. You have to use that money on the ship, which won't go very far to replace any airfare or hotels that you might have booked on disembarkation day. And if anything like what's happening right now, when I booked my flights to come here to Southampton, I paid about $4,000 to $5,000 less than I would have had to book at the last minute. So I'm hoping people on that are able to get airfare at a relatively cheap rate. Not to mention checking if you need visas now. Which country do you need visas for? Do you need to, if you're going to stay there more than 1 day, 2 days? Some people were planning 3 or 4 day stays at the end of these trips. So do you need further travel visas? What do you need? It's all kind of last minute. But some things can't be helped, and if you can't get into the port, then I guess you have to make do with the closest possible answer you can. And Hong Kong is a pretty nice city to visit as well. We also have the Disney Treasure has now made her way down the Ems River, which means that's a very tight fit. If you ever watch that in action, if you ever get a live feed of that, it's being guided by tugboats, but it's some very narrow passages some way. It's deep water, but it's very narrow, and it's amazing to see a large ship like that head down the Ems. But she's getting ready for her sea trials, which means if she passes her sea trials, that much closer to setting sail for everybody. Good news there. Next, let's talk about Region 7 Seas. I was on Region 7 Seas late last year, and guess what? They are now adding Starlink. They've added Starlink satellite system, faster internet system to all their ships, which is good because the ship I was on did not have Starlink, and it took forever to try and do anything on the internet. Everybody was saying the same thing. Oh my goodness, what's going on? Because we were all travel agents on board and we all had work to do. We all had stuff to do. I was lucky in a way because I was sick and I was stuck in my cabin for 5 days. So it didn't matter how long it took to connect to things. I had all the time in the world because I was stuck with a bit of norovirus on my cruise. What can I say? Things do happen. And finally, let's talk about the great missing tub caper with Carnival. As a passenger wrote in saying that, hey, I was just on your cruise ship. I booked a Havana suite. And I know the old ships, they have a bathtub on board, but your newer ships don't have bathtubs on board. Why would you take away an amenity like a luxury bath in your suites? That's why we book suites, is so we can have, you know, the big bathroom and a bathtub to relax in. That's one of the big perks of booking a suite. Well, John Heald has responded and said, well, basically we've taken that away to add larger walk-in showers, a bigger amenity. Instead of having a tight shower that more people use on a daily basis than the bathtub, they have a more luxury shower on their daily trips. Now, apparently the woman, of course, she misses her bath and is looking for a bath. So you could research your cruise ships when you're getting on them and deciding and finding out which ones actually have bathtubs and everything. Myself, I'm about to go on the Sun Princess, and I know I was very excited when I first learned the Sun Princess was being built that it had walk-in showers in every single one of them. A lot more room than on some of the other ships like the Caribbean Princess that I was just on. So, and that seems to be the comments from most people on Carnival saying, we rarely would use a bath. Maybe if we had children, we would use a bath, or if we're on a long cruise, like in 20-day, 21-day cruise. Some people said, I love bubble baths and I really luxury, but I'll stick my bubble baths at home as opposed to using a bathtub that maybe 100 people have used or stepped in at one point. And so they feel more comfortable that way. I guess if you're in a very ultimate luxury suite, it could have a much larger footprint for the bathroom, but I'd say vast majority of people would rather a larger shower in their stateroom than a shower bathtub or bathtub shower combination. At least I would, and most of the people in the comments that I read said the exact same thing. But what do you think? First of all, how about being dropped off in a completely different country than you booked? How stressful would that be? And secondly, would you rather a bathtub? Would you rather a larger shower? Would you rather a bathtub shower combination? I'm all for the walk-in shower. Well, I hope you appreciate the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Want to see more tips, more tricks, more travel vlogs from around the world? Hit that subscribe button. Until next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.